Hello and welcome to my video showing off my website. Let's begin straight away. Upon entering the website, you'll notice a nice little animation, and I chose to go with a main page layout that had a title and subtitle. You'll also notice that a lot of the website is animated upon hovering and scrolling. You can use the navigation bar at the bottom to go to the section of choice, and you can see that the text there is animated upon scrolling. You can also hover on top of these images and read a bit more about the image that you hover on top. We can go to the product section here, and you'll see that I chose to use a card layout where everything is divided into little cards. I feel like this is aesthetically much more pleasing. It also divides everything into different sections, and it's really easy to follow and understand. You can hover on top of the cards and the text will appear like before to read a bit more. I feel like this is a really nice way of keeping a lot of text away from the screen, and you can just choose to read what it is that you want to read. These cards as well are animated. You can read a bit more about whatever you want about the card that you're hovering on. You can click on this button here and it'll take you to the reference of choice. Let's go back. We can go down to the process here. I chose a nice little timeline layout for to look at the process, which really allows you to see the different order of the tasks. It's really easy, really basic, simple, but when you do hover on top of the cards, you get a little bit more, a bit more of a description about the task itself. We can go down to the review section here. This is really basic. You can hover on top of these little bars, it'll animate it. The background shadow for a lot of these cards is also animated. It changes color when you hover on top of the card. And finally, we can go down to the contact us section here. When you click on the different boxes, some of these will allow you to autofill. So if you have a name pre-installed on your laptop, that'll pop up there. You can click on it, it'll autofill. I don't have that. There's also a nice little drop down menu here where you can choose your country and you can just write whatever you want in this section here. You can use this button to send your message, and that's it for the website. You can click here to go back to the top. And like I said, the website is animated, so you can just go everywhere and different things will be moving, and this is really nice. It's really interactive, and it's a really lively website which really embodies the sort of nature of the tribes itself. So that's everything. I also want to quickly go over some of the code for the website. A lot of it was coded using HTML and CSS. So you can see here at the beginning, we have the CSS. Everything is divided into different sections like you can see. This just helps me organize myself. This first section here is pretty general. It's about everything that for the website, the body basically. And then we go into some of the sections like the homepage, the footer, and these were basically just to sort of test and see how different things would look. We go into navigation bar, which was a big part of the website, and it was animated and it helped the navigation a lot. And we go into some of the fonts as well, and you can see that here I have different divs here, and then some more specific pieces of code, so like paragraphs, headings. A lot of this also helps me animate. So I'm not sure here, for example, you can see transition duration. So that's how long I want the transitions to last. Then we go into some of the effects like hidden and show. These use JavaScript as well to work, and they animate upon scrolling. Although the majority of the animation that I did do was upon hovering. So here you can see, again, the different divisions, the different divs, and some of the images as well. These help divide the screen, so the screen does become smaller. It changes the layout of the website accordingly. And then here we go into the cards. The cards were a big part of the website, and it helped organize everything really well. I love the way these look. And you can also see some animations as well. This is the command here, hover. So when you hover, the previous code should change and should have these new specifications, right? And same thing for these different commands like the headings, or this one here, for example. When this div is hovered upon, anything that's bold inside of that div should then change to this. And this is what helps me animate when hovering on top of the cards. This is what would help the text appear. So it would go from a font size of 0 to a font size of whatever I needed it to be. We can continue going down. This is the timeline. So this was also a big part of the website for my process section. And it looks really nice, pretty basic code as well. Although it did take a lot of divs to do, and you can also see here the media screen. We continue going down to the ratings. This was pretty complicated as it included a lot of bars, but once you knew how to do one, the rest sort of were easy. It was just a lot of copy and paste there from one to the other. And again, you had the media command. And we can go down to the context section. This was surprisingly easy. I thought this would be slightly harder. I did have to search this online, so some of this code I didn't necessarily do myself, but I do understand. So yeah, and then here you have the other section. There's a lot in it, but oh well. And then here's where we start with the HTML, right? So you'll see a lot of the divs here sort of help to divide the different groups. So this is the home page. And then the other thing I did as well was this prevent select. That was found at the top of the general section, and that helped make it so you couldn't select the text. I felt like that was crucial. And then I also used different text options to animate things different ways and change the sizes and colors. So I use, for example, heading 1 here, or paragraph there, and bold if I wanted to animate specific parts of the text, and then I could just reduce the font weight. And then this is the navigation bar. Pretty easy, pretty simple. I also use IDs here, so you can see ID section 1. And then when you clicked on one of the buttons in the navigation bar, it took you to that section, right, using the ID. So that's what sort of took you from one section to another when you clicked on the navigation bar. And again, if you go back to the general section at the top, there was a line of code there that made it so it was a smooth scroll. And then so here you have the first section. It was divided into sidebar and a main bar here, and everything was divided into rows, and that's what allowed me to put several cards rather in the same row. Otherwise, it would have gone one below the other, and that's not what I wanted because that would have wasted a lot of space. We can continue going down here. This is the footer, really easy. And the footer, I made it so it was the right height, so at the footer and the navigation bar would be the same height, and they would sort of stack one on top of the other. I believe the navigation bar had a higher Z index, so it always stayed on top. That was very important as well. And then here we go, again, using the cards. Ignore the names. The names are a mess, because I needed different names for every single card to make them different sizes. But here you see as well, you have the main card, and they have 3 different cards here. Again, this is referring back to the website that I showcased previously. Then we go into the process. This was, like I said before, slightly harder. And you see here the different parts of the timeline, right? So this heading here is what was always showing, and then I used the paragraph here. This is what I animated. So the paragraph originally had a font size of 0 pixels. You hover on top of the content, and that's what makes it appear. It makes the font size increase so that the text is legible. We go down a bit more, and this was the review section. This was, again, pretty complicated, but once you had one of the bars, the rest were easy. Yeah. And then finally, we go down to the context section. Here you can see the different options for the drop-down menu. And here I believe placeholder, I'm not sure where it is right now. I think it was in the CSS, but where you could click on it and it would give you different options that you might have pre-saved on your laptop. And then yeah, that's pretty much it. You have some very basic JavaScript here, and basically it's just saying that you need to observe for new entries, different objects that enter the screen. When they do enter, you put them in the show class, and when they leave, you remove them from the show class. And so you're looking out for all the elements that have the hidden div. And I believe I'm just gonna search for it real quick here. Hidden basically meant that it had an opacity of 0, and then it also had first of all a transition time, and also a transform where it went from one place to another. In this case, I decided that transform would be across the y-axis instead of the x. I could also make it across the x and the y, I believe, but y was just easier and just looked better in general, in my opinion. And I also added a little blur to help it sort of look a bit smoother and a bit more natural. And that's pretty much it.